Hi guys. Hi. So, Kristen has asked me to come and share a little bit about my story. For years and years and years, I have dealt with the really super unfun subject of perfectionism and never really knew I was a perfectionist and never really drew any connections between what I was struggling with in my life and perfectionism and what the solutions are to that, and how to get that out of my life. So there was definitely a lot of turmoil and struggle and things that I was dealing with. Some of the ways that perfectionism came out in my life, and this is maybe going to shock some of you, depending on what you think the definition and the outworking of perfectionism is. And that is that when I was especially younger, like high school and earlier, I think probably even back to being 4 or 5 years old, I can remember times really clearly, and watching other kids now, I can see it really clearly, of times when they would, like, I can watch a 4-year-old sit and color a coloring sheet that has an outline, and she'll color, and then she'll go outside the line because she's 4. And that's what we do. It takes a lot of, I'm 34 and I still color outside the lines by accident. So, but she'll take it and she'll get really mad and really sad, and she will crumple it up and throw it away and maybe throw a tantrum. And I remember doing that. I remember being that kid, except it felt like it was about everything in my life that I faced. Felt like just if I made a mistake, I was done. I was not going to try it again. I was not going to ever be able to do it. I was very fatalistic. It's very black and white thinking. So perfectionism often sounds like something that's kind of maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Some people kind of want to be a perfectionist because it sounds like, well, I'll be really, have good attention to detail, and I'll be really organized and really anal about stuff. But the truth is that you actually just get stuck. And I was really, really stuck a lot of my life. I remember going through high school and being the 11th hour girl constantly. I was just would procrastinate and put things off until it was the night before at 11 o'clock at night, actually, and start writing the report or doing whatever. And it took the fear and the mounting pressure of being at 11 o'clock the night before to finally push me past my fear of it not going well. So I was like, well, I just got to do it now. And I would just go do it. But what if I had done that at the beginning? I'm pretty sure I would have had a better overall grade in high school. But the thing is that now I'm having the chance, and it's been probably about 6 years, 5 or 6 years, that I've really decided that I wanted to work on this because I knew it was creating such paralysis in my life and in my business. I knew that I wasn't making as much money. I wasn't getting the clients because I wasn't responding fast enough. Basically, that paralysis was just damaging my life. And so I knew that I had to change something, and I really didn't know how to get unstuck. I didn't know where to start, but I knew that it was going to be hopefully a really positive thing to start retraining my thinking. I could see that some of the places I got stuck were in these patterns of self-doubt, of negative self-talk in my head, a lot of things like that really would bring me down, especially when so people with perfectionism, especially people in general, sometimes we tend to have really, really high expectations for ourselves, sometimes for other people too, but especially for ourselves. And so when we set the bar really, really high and we don't make it, and then we feel terrible. We feel like the scum of the earth. And we don't necessarily find that it's easy to just brush that off and pick up and go again. Usually we feel like, hey, I failed. It's like that 4-year-old with the paper. Like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm terrible at it. No one's ever going to want to hear what I have to say or read or draw or whatever you're trying to work on. And it's not worth it anymore to you because you haven't hit that really tough expectation. So I knew that, and I realized that I had to work on my expectations, and that was something that I couldn't reconcile. I was like, but if I change my expectations, then I'm lowering my standards and it's not good enough. And if I don't meet the really high expectations, then it's not good enough as well. So there was no way that I could at first seem to get my head around the idea that imperfection gets you further in life, creates more joy, creates more freedom, and really would help me deal with a lot of the stress that I was feeling, living under all this pressure I put on myself. And so I knew that I had changed my thinking, even though I didn't think I wanted to. I knew I needed to, but I didn't know if it was possible to feel, to really acknowledge and not just give mental assent to the fact that it was true to think that way. It was a good idea to have more realistic expectations. It was a good idea to just really take a hard look at what I was putting on myself. But I thought, I'm going to give it a try anyway. So, I mean, I have listened to podcasts, I have read books, I have done every self-help, and prayed every prayer that I needed to do. And, you know, after 6 years, 5 or 6 years, it really has made a difference. And so I want you guys to know that there's hope for being unstuck from this. It's not something that is never going to end in your life. It doesn't mean it won't still be a struggle. I still have times where I hit that wall of not feeling like it's worth doing anything again, or that no one's going to want to hear what I have to say. This video is a perfect example. I am doing it a little bit at the 11th hour, not completely. Kristen needs it tomorrow from me, but I am, not as afraid as I used to be. And I have decided that because I'm retraining my brain, I'm going to push myself to do things that are imperfect, to send emails before I've spell checked them 3 times, to jump on things faster and allow certain things to slide, which is how I see it. It's not how everyone would see it. But from a perfectionist view, it feels like letting things slide a little bit, and just accept that things are what they are, and that's okay. And often, in fact, most of the time, that's better than okay. That's actually one of the best things that you can do for yourself, for your family, for your business. It doesn't mean that things won't be well done or well thought through. It just means that things will actually happen. The best thing you can do is to find resources, find people to keep you accountable, find people who know your heart, and then ask yourself questions. So continue to go through, especially when you're in those really frustrating times of self-doubt and negative self-talk. Write it down and analyze, take a look at it and say, okay, what are my expectations from this? And are they realistic? Are they going to help me move forward? Are they going to help me connect to where I want to go in my life? All of those things. Are they the end of the world? I would often talk to my mom, and she would say, imagine the worst case scenario, which sounds scary, but it really just gave me the freedom to say, you know what, if my business fully fails, I'll go back to school in my 30s and change my career. It's not my most favorite plan, but it could work. I find it really helps to look at your expectations and try and look at even the worst case scenario and say, okay, even the worst case scenario, not that bad. So that gives us a little more freedom to fail, more freedom to try things, because if you live in constant fear of failure, you're not going to try anything. You're not going to go any further. You're not going to step outside of your box at all. And that's a very safe, very boring, and ultimately a much more sad and actually dangerous place to stay, even though it feels safe at the time. So the other tip I wanted to give you guys is you don't have to be perfect to start. Jump in and get your feet wet. And I know that sounds really scary sometimes, but it is the most important thing you can do. It really is. So I encourage you to do that. I can list some books for Kristen to pass on to you guys and that have really helped me. some podcasts. If you're in business, specifically, if you're doing Beachbody, if you're doing as a business, or if you're doing anything else in your life, and this will help you, I believe, with motherhood, family relationships, you name it. So good luck, you guys. I know that you have got this, and I hope that you are able to push yourself to be comfortable with not being perfect, because there's a lot of life to live in that 80% range. And you're going to really knock it out of the park more than you think you will. So, love ya. Have a great time and enjoy your time learning from Kristen. See ya.